The creative leads behind Moon Studios, Thomas Mahler, has been making waves in recent months. He was chiming in on the back of certain, cultural controversies running around in the gaming space in 2024. And because games journalists, instead of just, simply focusing on the good and the future and the health of the industry, always have an axe to grind and, like a vindictive ex, never forget when their pet ideologies are aggrieved. And so, while Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps have sold over a combined 15 million units as of March 12th of this year, that is simply just not good enough, right? The head of Moon Studios, Thomas Mahler, has announced that Ori, the franchise, has sold a combined 15 million units worldwide. The Ori series has now sold more than 15 million copies, said Mahler. Not too shabby for a Metroidvania in a genre. We were told is dead when we started to work on it, so thanks to everyone who supported us so far. Much love. And yeah, the Ori series is incredibly well respected by everybody who's played it. I'm pretty sure I have a copy of that on Steam. I'd have to go take a look. I think it's Blind Forest, maybe it's Will of the Wisp, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they're incredibly highly well-regarded games, and Moon Studios and Thomas Mahler, yeah, they've been in the game for a minute, and they recently had a release. I was getting bombarded by these same journos that'll just go ahead and turn a blind eye to this successful studio and try to paint them failing like so many other lesser outlets. Ori and the Blind Forest studio head says they could be forced to shut down due to the impact of negative Steam reviews for No Rest for the Wicked. How does that make any sense? No, okay, like we're obviously going to get into the specifics of this, and spoilers, they're lying, but how does negative Steam reviews close a studio down? That one doesn't make a lot of sense. It's no secret that Microsoft's Xbox One generation was a bit of a dud. Yes, okay, for a variety of reasons. Oh yes, because all of their tentpole IPs, maybe Gears, they probably had better games, but they definitely didn't reach anywhere near the heights that the original trilogy did, let alone, hell, even Gears of War Judgment probably performed better commercially than Gears 4 and 5. But Halo died a death. Fable is still in limbo. They had Insomniac come over and make Sunset Overdrive, and then immediately reverted back to Sony to make a bunch of, Marvel slop games. But yeah, Microsoft never really recovered from the Xbox One reveal back in 2013. Holy shit. Anyways, the botched reveal of the Xbox One, led to problems with Xbox, who I thought we were talking about a studio specifically. Anyways, is still unraveling over 10 years later. The entire world chose PS4 as their default console on the platform, leading to tens of millions of people essentially becoming digitally locked to Sony's ecosystem. It was a tough generation to lose, since now the cost to acquire users who are digitally locked onto a content platform far outweighs what is viable, leading Xbox to place its own homegrown titles like Forza and Gears on PlayStation in increasing amounts. Yep, we're just waiting. We're waiting for that one day when, hey guys, you can fire up your PS5 and you can hear Okay, that was a really shitty rendition of the Halo theme, but the moment that the Master Chief Collection comes to Sony, that's when you know that the Xbox brand is dead, and they're just going to be going full steam ahead with Game Pass, which is also just a shambling corpse in and of itself. Recently did a video on that. Go check that out if you want some more details there. Why is Xbox history lesson relevant to this article? Well, one saving grace was Xbox doomed Gen 8 console cycle was Moon Studios. Xbox One reveal was subsequently marred by years of underinvestment in first-party content. The vast majority of first-party titles Microsoft released during the Xbox One generation were seen as average at best, with total clangers like Crackdown 3 sprinkled throughout. Are they referring to that as good? Because I never heard anything great about Crackdown 3. I remember the original mostly because, it was packed in with the Halo 2, the Halo 3 demo was packed into Crackdown, and that was one of those games that I rented because, back when the demo was coming out, there were still a game rental places. Okay, I had that thing. I had that game locked on rental for weeks ahead of the beta because I needed to play that Halo 3 beta, man. Eventually, I got around to playing Crackdown. I mostly just, kept it on pause for a second because there were a ton of great games coming out on the Xbox 360 in the early days, even before Halo 3 dropped, but I digress. I cannot think of any first-party games that came out during the Xbox One generation that have even stood the test of time in the past 10 years, but okay. Even the best games rarely achieved Game of the Year nods and accolades, save for two, Ori and the Blind Forest and The Will of the Wisps. Developed by Moon Studios, Ori's incredible art, tight platforming, evocative storytelling, and spectacular musical score was a rare bright spot in the darkness of the Xbox One days. Fast forward to 2025, and Moon Studios is building the next title, No Rest for the Wicked, which increasingly seems to have become quite a difficult outing for the independent developer that is a first-party Xbox studio. Right. No Rest for the Wicked has incredible potential, drawing upon games like Diablo and Soulsborne and Souls-like titles. No Rest for the Wicked continues Moon Studios' tradition of top-shelf atmospherics, art, and gameplay. However, the game is being developed in early access, which hasn't always been plain sailing. So you're thinking that a studio could close because of reviews for something that's in early access. You see what's happening here, guys. Right now, No Rest for the Wicked sits on mixed reviews on Steam, with users complaining about various aspects of the game's design. Negative comments generally seem to revolve around the quality of life features and more clarity in games on certain mechanics, while others lament the game's slant towards grinding materials. Moon Studios founder and lead Thomas Mahler recently commented on the impact the review cycle is having on game sales and issued a warning about what might happen to the studio if things don't improve. I think people think I'm joking when I'm asking for positive reviews, because in people's minds there's always some big publisher in the background who'll cover costs. Mahler begins. Oh, okay. In the Discord. Oh, okay. Folks, if you're writing here and you're enjoying Wicked and are excited for the future updates, but haven't left a positive review, it's entirely possible that we won't be around in a couple of months to do anything anymore, simply because we got review bombed, which leads to people not buying the game, which means we're not making any money and we'll have to shut down. I think that there's a quote being spun out of context here. Okay, I wouldn't ask for your business. Wouldn't be dependent on it. Okay, I'm sorry. I wouldn't ask if our business, wasn't dependent on it. I also never would write reviews on anything, but if you want to see us actually finish Wicked, it's detrimental that we get that review scores back up. Mahler went on to further, suggest that negative Steam reviews kill studios, noting that if No Rest for the Wicked doesn't perform better soon, that studios only has a few months left in the oven, bruh. Mahler also commented on the review bombing endured by Path of Exile 2 in early access, as players opt to leave negative reviews as means of feedback. And I got one pulled up right here that he has screenshotted. Okay, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think this should be allowed. We have a reputation that we're extremely quick about addressing feedback and concerns, which you take a look at his social media his social media profile rather, and there's just screeds and screeds about we've heard you guys talk about it, we're going to be implementing changes because this game's in early access, and therefore this is a time to test out certain features and functions, figuring out what works and what doesn't, and implementing them as you go. Really? Okay. But anyways, and I think you have a reputation, but people playing over 60 hours and then leave a negative review by just putting a dot in it. You got a couple that are right there. Okay, 63.6 hours, early access reviews, ... Early access reviews, well, you got a dot right there, and you got one played for 24.9. 24.9 hours, which is not an insignificant amount of time, but if you're just simply going to leave a thumbs down and then just put a dot, you're not really helping much, and in fact, you're actively hurting the game. But yes, really, you put 60 hours into a game and you can't be arsed to even write one sentence about what bothered you. Who exactly benefits from that? Yeah, exactly. The other thing Steam has to fix is that people can buy a product, leave a negative review, and then refund the product with the negative review still being counted. That's obviously just ridiculously abusable. Which, fair enough. So fast forward a little bit, and when people start looking through that article and going, some shit's really not lining up here. Okay, as summarized by Grums, the gaming press lies and claims No Rest for the Wicked is failing and that the studio might close, but the game is beating Assassin's Creed Shadows and is older. Windows Central picked up a Discord post by CEO Thomas Mahler of Moon Studios and tries to call the game into question. Thomas responds, calling out the article and speculating that his non-politics is the reason the article was written, but but since the patch, the game has been doing very well, even beating Assassin's Creed Shadows with its peak of 10,866 this past day. Assassin's Creed Shadows, was 7,727 players. Yet the press calls Shadows a success, while implying the game with more players is somehow a dud. Yeah, man, you'll have mainstream outlets. You guys remember all of the reviews at the time, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Oh my god, this is the best Assassin's Creed game since forever. This is truly a return to form. This is exactly what we need moving forward, because, I mean, shit, you take a look at right up there at the top, right? Okay, you got Monster Hunter Wilds, Split Fiction, Dragon Age, The Veilguard. All of these sites shilled for all of these games. Meanwhile, they laughed and derided guys like Marek Timoninski over at CI Games with Lords of the Fallen, and then also taking potshots at Thomas Mahler and Moon Studios. See a pattern here? Assassin's Creed Shadows debuted last month to become the best-selling, oh my god, best-selling game in the United States for March of 2025 in dollar sales. Oh, interesting. This is according to the analytics firm Circana, which reports that Shadows has also become the second best-selling game so far, trailing only Monster Hunter Wilds. Do we have the chart? Because I remember looking at it, and yeah, guess what? Monster Hunter Wilds is like millions of dollars ahead of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Ubisoft is so proud about that accomplishment, they have yet to update us, not just on players, and definitely nothing to do with sales. But, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not even the most played Assassin's Creed game out right now. You got to go back to Odyssey, for Christ's sakes. A 2018 game is beating the brakes off of something that just came out a little over a month and change ago. Yeah, you continue. You guys continue. Games journalists, you continue to throw away whatever relevancy and whatever credibility you have. You continue to spin the words of an apolitical developer who has a history of creating tremendous games and is working on something in a new genre and is constantly updating it, much to the fans' appreciation. Maybe that's why they have such a problem with Mahler over at Moon Studios. That's probably why, because he does this weird thing that is so foreign to games journalists. They listen to their audience and they respond accordingly. I know it's shocking, right? So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.